Yes, indeed.
Hello.
Evening all.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, you've done the intros, so what we have in store, what, what we have in store is actually a really cool interview. We caught up earlier on in the last week with James Deane. Well, I say we; it was actually our very own Kevin. He was over in Goodwood, taking part in the Speed Week. So, pretty cool conversation had with him. I listened through it pretty briefly, and yeah, it seemed pretty exciting. We've got some race reviews going on. We've got some prizes to give away. We've got some sim news. We've got some new content up on our own website that Rob's going to go through, and we've got some very special tech news from yourself, Niall. So I'm going to hand over to Kev, who's going to bring us through the news.
Yeah, I suppose it's kind of quiet enough week in terms of actual development on games. It's more focusing on the kind of the competition side of things. During the week we had the F1 esports returning. I don't know how much you guys are into this. Like, I don't know what your feelings are in terms of like F1 2020 as a platform for this kind of stuff. But look, it's because of all the invitational races and the real F1 drivers getting involved. Some of whom are alumni to Irish Digital-Motorsports series, of course. We just thought I got a little mention there. You know, we had, I suppose, a lot of those kind of pro sim e-racers were kind of really thrust into the spotlight. So they made their return 10 months after the original series. It was on Wednesday night. The first two season races on the season at Bahrain and obviously around Vietnam, which was kind of interesting to see racing around Vietnam, even though it was only virtual. It was kind of cool to see what that track should look like ahead of next season. Jano Otmir took victory in the opening race. It was actually perfect for Alfa Romeo. It was a 1-2 for Alfa in that one. And then in the second race, that was won by the Ferrari Academy, the Ublo New Academy, or Hublot if you're Irish, David Tinitza. Guys, I suppose I'm just interested to bring some of you guys into this. I suppose, first of all, like, what do you make of F1 2020 as a platform for all this? And second of all, what do you make of this kind of Ferrari Academy idea? Like, is it a bit notiony, or are you on board with it?
To be honest, I haven't even used F1 2020 myself. I've been intrigued by it, but the graphics and the kind of racecraft I've seen online so far, it just hasn't reeled me in enough to say, right, lads, let's get a copy of this and I'll have a go at it. It could be a little bit of snobbery on my side, I don't know. But yeah, it just hasn't reeled me in as of yet. We actually had access to some free copies in the middle of the summer because Fanatec were doing an offer with, you know, a particular purchase. They were giving away a copy for free, and even at that, I just wasn't really pulled into it. So I'm not too sure why. I'm sure if it was one of those things where I gave it a shot, I might enjoy it. But yeah, for the moment, I wouldn't be experienced enough to even comment on what it's like. Maybe Niall and Rob have tried it.
No, I haven't either. And similarly, I suppose it just comes down to time for myself. I get to race maybe, you know, 1, 2, maybe 3 if I'm lucky nights a week. And I say races, just have a little dabble around. So it's you know, I'm kind of sticking with iRacing and a bit of Assetto Corsa at the moment. So yeah, just haven't had the time to get into it. It looks cool, like, and what I've seen of Mr. Jimmy Broadband's stuff, it looks interesting enough. So yeah, I'd have
Best connection in the UK.
I'd love to have a go.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool idea though, that esports series. And I suppose it's nice that particularly kind of got the full glitz and glamour, like the TV treatment. And I suppose it's kind of interesting because we saw some of that as well. Like, I don't know about you, but for me personally, I thought the best effort in terms of translating the E stuff onto the real life screen was the V8 Supercar series. I don't know, had you guys watched much of that, but I was watching it most mornings, and just the way they had the graphics done was like really cool. They had everybody in shot. That was cool. So that's kind of that. Speaking with the Ublo Academy or the Hublot, or I don't know. Does anybody know how to actually pronounce the name of those watches?
I'd say the former, yeah, Ublo or something like that.
Yeah. I don't want to go full French. Like I did that when we were in Le Mans, and I got an awful slagging off a few people.
I was impressed.
Yeah,
I
no,
was very impressed.
Evan was straight in there. I know on the chat not long after, but yeah, so two rounds down in their Ferrari Hublot Esports Series, that was at the Nuremberg, or sorry, that was the first two rounds were of course at Zandvoort, which is a mix of esports racers, the Jimmy Broadbands of this world, and a few actual Ferrari drivers into 488 Evo cars. So that was pretty cool. They placed at Zandvoort last time. They're at the Nuremberg Ring this time. I'm not sure whether it's the full endurance Nordschleife or if it's just the GP circuit, which is obviously you will be racing at later on in the Irish Digital Motorsports Series, which we'll be getting to in a bit. But yeah, just it's kind of a quiet week in terms of releases. I know Automobilista has an update. I think has an update for their stock cars. To be honest, that's not really of a huge amount of interest to myself personally, but I don't know, like, do you guys would like I've done a bit of like messing around in the stock cars in R Factor, but I've never really has anybody actually raced them properly, or has anybody given them a good kind of bit of consideration?
Yeah, I think Niall's actually showing them around a little bit. I'm still just kind of managing to switch my sim on most weeks, to be honest. So yeah, it's a struggle to get on anything that I'm unfamiliar with. But Niall, I think you've done a little bit, have you?
I'm having a bit of technical issues here. I'm going to pretend I heard everything that Kevin said. I heard the words V8 and supercars, and I was like, is that what the topic is?
Keep on down the road.
This is going well.
Let me jump in there.
From one side of the world to the other.
Because I can segue nicely into a piece related to V8 supercars. So we'll move on to tech. Sorry, not new tech. It's new products. So Niall, you work away there with whatever issues you're having. I think we have we haven't shared this on Facebook yet. So if you're able to do that, that'd be marvelous. But if not, no worries. Yeah, so V8 supercars, and what I was waffling on about there is this week or last week now, I've been testing the Jinx sequential shifter, and the reason that is relevant is because it's basically a direct replica of what they're using in the V8 supercar series, the current 2020 version. I believe it was laser scanned off the real deal, so it's not just a Mickey Mouse replica, it's the proper job. And I've got one here in the sim right next to me right now, and it is a beautiful piece of engineering. It's fantastic. It's billet aluminium. It's beautifully machined. It's just everything about it is just lovely. Not cheap, but it's a serious piece of case. I don't know if we got some pictures. We did have some, but anyway, there's a video up there. If you just head over to the YouTube channel, and you'll find the quick kind of review video of it there. And
some pictures gone up there, yeah.
Shane Van Gisbergen, who won Bathurst yesterday, he uses one of these as well. So SVG, if it has his seal of approval, it's good enough for me. So yeah, so that's the latest piece of kit that we've been messing around with this week.
There's a few of those you were saying as well, Rob, because I did actually go back and look at the video of it, because like it's a sort of a piece of kit that it would take me a while to, as you say, it's a hefty piece of kit, but really nice looking. You were saying in the video that like, it's really not that commonly available over the side of the water either, so it's great that Digital Motorsports have it, and kind of because there's plenty of guys that race over the side of the water that are interested in the V8 stuff and love racing that.
Absolutely, yeah. It's we just got one in to test it out basically. So it was like they're in Australia, so it takes a long time to get the stuff here. It's not cheap to get the stuff here. So yeah, it was a kind of a suck it and see job, and see if there's any interest or demand, and there seems to be. So we probably will stock a few of them on the site, and you have these awesome. You can see some of the images now. I think anti-roll bar adjusters and brake balance adjusters and all the rest of it and whatnot. So yeah, proper piece of kit. Anyway, just while I just see the images up on screen as well. The other thing that we've been doing this week, or Sean's been busy doing, I've been assisting, was building two really nice rigs that have shipped over to the US. So Sean, tell us about those.
Yeah, pretty heartbroken, to be honest, man. They were tough to say goodbye to. By far the nicest sims that we've ever built. And I said to you last week when we were in the warehouse, I would have easily imagined they were the highest spec sim in Ireland easily, potentially the UK as well. While they were in the warehouse, they were a couple of P1X black front mount chassis. Your standard kind of rails and sliders, but the seats themselves were at Sparco QRT performance, and from the moment I took them out of the box, they were just savage. The feel, the look, like the finish, it was all just savage. Moving on to the pedals, he went for these were two replicas for the same guy. Obviously, won't mention any names. But yeah, you got the SimTag Ultimate Black Edition, fully hydraulic and fully awesome, as you said in your video as well, Rob. Couple of SimiCube Ultimate 2s, or SimiCube 2 Ultimates, I should say. And then he had a CSX2 on one, and then just a Formula Pro on the other, but he is eventually swapping it out for a CSX2. Two ultra wide 49-inch curved, and then what else did he have on it? Yeah, just your couple of peripherals like keyboard trays and your mouse pad holders and cup holders and stuff. But yeah, the finish was just, it was savage. So yeah, we packed them up once they were tested, the electronics tested, and the chassis as well, into custom crates that we had designed and treated specifically to go across the water into the US, because you can't just ship any old wooden box over just in case it brings any kind of bacteria or viruses, whatever, over alongside it. So has to be specially treated. But yeah, they're en route over to him now. So should land in kind of 7 to 10 days, and then we'll dial in remotely and help him map all the controls. But I was pretty heartbroken saying goodbye to them. Not gonna lie, they were really, really good.
They're nice sims, all right.
Yeah.
Very good.
So,
More builds coming up this week, I think, haven't we?
oh, tons. I love doing builds, but I've a lot. We've a lot to do. Well, it's good. It's good. I think people are starting to gear up for either potentially another lockdown, which is coming, but also the Christmas period is coming in as well. And I think with so many teams and privateers off track, most of the year, they've built up a few spoons to be able to get themselves a nice bit of kit to train on. So I think people are just starting to take that leap now, as well as, like I said, some Christmas presents coming in and being ordered. So we're going to be busy boys for the next few weeks.
I mentioned that in a little live video I was doing earlier on, that I think the pre-Christmas panic is starting early this year because of COVID, and because we're all heading back into lockdown again, and because the availability of electronics in particular it's been pretty tight over the last 6 months especially, and with a lot of sim retailers sold out of everything throughout the whole kind of COVID period. They've just kind of got their act back together, got stocks back up, and now we're heading back into a lockdown again, and you've got Christmas thrown into the mix as well. So obviously people are getting very nervous. People, huge queues outside Smith's Toys and all that kind of thing, websites down, all that kind of jazz. So people are looking to get stuff early, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, and rightly so as well. I think, and it's obviously good for people are saying, to buy local if possible, and obviously we're an Irish company, so try keep it local with ourselves. We are the first and the best sim racing company in Ireland. But yeah, just before I hand over to Niall, I just wanted to quickly say, because I probably won't be chatting too much more after this, congrats to Max Hart, who finished second, I think it was, in the TCR Cup over in the UK. There, he got his first pole just at the weekend. So very well done to him. We're actually one of his sponsors. And then there was something else I was going to say, but I've completely forgot. So over to you, Niall.
Right. Yeah. I'm not sure if my mic's going out on this stream, which is, for someone who's about to do the tech news, not not necessarily the best. But what I had hoped to do here was to ride on board with Nathan Healy and drag Nathan in for a quick 2 minutes. I haven't been able to line that up, but do you want me to go ahead and see if I can do that? Or maybe, Sean, if you jump down,
we'll talk amongst ourselves.
You guys talk amongst yourselves. So, tech news, yeah, it's always at this time of the year. October is when it all happens. I've just been told we can hear you. That's great. So we have a lot of exciting stuff coming onto the marketplace in terms of tech, but focused on the computer side of things. What's exciting me at the moment is, of course, all the new CPUs are coming out for November and the rush up to Christmas. That's all on the back of the usual stuff like PlayStations and Xboxes and all fancy new screens, new HDMI technologies coming out as well. But the kind of the Gen 3 Ryzen CPUs are what have me most interested. MSI have confirmed that all the 4000 series motherboards will be getting their updates soon to support 5000 series CPUs as well. So that's all kind of cool and geeky stuff. But it's always interesting to see then how Intel, so that whole GPU, CPU wars are lining up nicely, and that'll all mean better graphics, better performance, better sim racing come 2021. The thing I'm most interested about is the new 3070 graphics card. So the staple of sim racing for the last couple of years has always been the 1070 and then the 2070 card, but this 3070, it looks like it's going to blow everything out of the market. I think launch that's being pushed towards the end of this month. And then, well, actually, it could actually be at the AMD are holding their what's their keynote thing on the 25th. So that's next week, and I'm sure they're going to unveil their new GPUs as well. So maybe Nvidia are just holding back a little bit to have the 3070 launch, just to rub their nose in it a little bit. But I'm not sure if I got Nathan here. I haven't even been able to get on board with Nathan. So, but that is the nature of these shows on a Monday night, is to trying to just get in, have a chat to the drivers, and see what they're doing. Have we got Nathan there?
Yeah, just while you're doing that, Niall, I just on the tech side of things and the 2070 graphics card, I'm certainly not in a financial position to afford any of that at the moment. But I do benefit from being the youngest of a brother who is very much into this stuff, and got his first VR headset, which was a HP, one of the new HP ones.
Oh yeah, very good, yeah.
Which is it was fantastic, and I did sit into. Because we've been doing VLN all this year, and we've been doing it in the Z4, and to sit into the actual Z4, the VR headset in the Assetto Corsa, and do the same thing, I have to say, like,
it's unreal, isn't
it? It's amazing how VR blows everything out of the water. Like, I will go back now and I will have a pretty big screen at my house where I'm working, and it just won't be anything like the VR. Like, it's just like what I couldn't believe with, I think it's particularly the HP headsets are particularly good for it, is the level of detail that you can see. Like, what I couldn't believe was I looked towards the passenger side and I could see the electronics box and the Bosch logo, and I could read all the serial numbers, and I could read, like, that's the sort of stuff that blows my mind. It's not so much the VR, like, you know, like I've done it before, but it's the clarity and the depth of the texturing, and it makes you realize, I think it gives you a newfound appreciation for how much work goes into the modeling of the actual cars themselves when you sit in it and everything looks like exactly what it should. So it was very enjoyable, and an older brother who owns is a proud owner of an E30 from circa 1988, is currently doing it up. Finally got a glimpse of what it might actually look like when he finally stops spending money on it. So, so yeah, it's just amazing, the VR stuff and this whole 3070, these new generation of graphics cards. Hopefully, not only will kind of improve performance, but also push that price point down for people that are more towards my price point, that they'll be able to afford the experience of VR, because it's just another level.
Yeah, and it goes back to what we're saying. We've just got a couple of cool new headsets in ourselves to test out, but
and we've actually got more coming this week now.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So, yeah, one of the great things about my job is I get to test out all that stuff. But I think we've got Nathan here. Nathan, are you in the chat with us now?
I am, yeah.
Aha, we got Nathan. Nathan's our resident go-to tech guy. So we're just saying, I blasted through most of the tech stuff that's coming up, Nathan, but what's exciting you the most as you head into Blanchimont here?
The new Ryzen CPUs coming out of the 5700, the 5800, and the 5900.
Yeah.
More along the kind of everyday person, I think it's going to be the 5800. The 59 is a little bit expensive, and there is one higher that's going to be about $700. That's
a
the
lot.
5950.
Yeah.
That's the 16 to 32 thread. It's going to be basically the CPU to beat until Intel comes out next year.
I like this. I think we should do tech stuff with Nathan through Eau Rouge every time we do Off the Grid. It should be on board with Nathan, talking us through what's the latest tech as he tries not to get a slowdown. Did you get a slowdown that time on the track?
Not a slowdown.
Right. So, what times are you looking to do on race day?
Currently, I'm in the high 33s, low 34s consistently. So
Yeah.
that's going to be enough for around now, because, as you know, off tracks and Spa are a bit of a nightmare.
Well, there's more
Yeah.
fuel to go into that
Mhm.
M4 as well. I don't think it has enough fuel for the actual. We fueled it up for a sprint race, so it's got to get the endurance fuel into it.
Yeah, I've added another 15 liters, so I'm up to about 60 liters on a race pace.
Okay. So take us around, lads. What are we saying? Mics are still low. Yeah, the volumes are a bit off here, but you're going well anyway, Nathan. And what type of technology are you using in the CPU and GPU end of things to actually go racing with us?
So I'm in one of the original first gen Ryzen's, one of the 1800Xs, on RTX 2080, original, kind of pre-ordered when it came out. One of those beasts with 16 gigs of RAM and a custom build myself.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm using the SimCube 2 Pro with using Vel Sprints and Oculus Rift S.
Cool. Well, we're just being told here our mics and our volumes are all over the place, so I think my next investment is going to be in some decent streaming equipment. But yeah,
a mixing board, I think.
A mixing board would be cool. Yeah, you can actually do it on Discord. For anyone who's watching doesn't know what we're all chatting on here, it's a piece of software called Discord, which is it's basically an online chat thing for the drivers now. But you can do it. But unfortunately for me, I'm not able to monitor tonight, which I usually do for the volume. So apologies for that if the sound is wrong. I'm gonna get that sorted out and jump off this tech section. But thanks, Nathan, for letting us ride on board. I see that your laps there were way off pace, so...
That's a good slow though.
It is a good way to see off your guests.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So
Nathan.
you go and focus on that, Nathan. Thanks for giving us your time. I'll drop you back down to the rest of them. All right, what's up next, guys?
So yeah, just before we move on, sorry, just to remind everyone that is watching either on Facebook or on YouTube, or if there is anyone watching at all, that we have a competition running with the prize is a Fanatec Hydro handbrake. So all you have to do to win that is to who did that sound effect? I liked it. All you have to do to give a chance to win it is to make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, and that you leave us a comment. Potentially, you can get creative if you want. Niall's going to be picking the winner, so you can tell Niall how much you love him.
I love how much we're doing this right now. I love this. It's cool.
Yeah, it is. And then
Is
so now
another like GA club draw picks a name out and has it in his
It
face
is, yeah.
the entire time. Yeah.
Do I
and
get
it's
to come
number
up with somebody?
61.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a cool prize. I want that. Right.
It is a cool prize, and I'm not gonna lie, it's been sitting in my office at home for about 2 months from our old warehouse. I just forgot about it. I'll sign it for you. But by the way, if Porsche didn't get in touch with me after the last stream, I was gutted. Yeah, so look, we're they do. I mean, I've nearly 400 followers this Instagram. So we're gonna hand over to Kev, who has probably the coolest part of the show so far to take you guys through. So Kev, whenever you're good to go.
Yeah, it was actually really nice. Like I got a shout from Niall to say we have this interview coming up. Are you interested in doing it? And I was like, oh yeah, cool, interesting, whatever.
That was me, Kev.
Oh, sorry, Sean. Sean was on to me. So Let's just forget that last 30 seconds ever happened. So Sean, I was contacted by Sean for this really interesting interview. No, but seriously, just this guy, I have known a huge amount about, being a Corkman myself. Heard a huge amount about him. Never had the opportunity to interview him, but was very, very excited. This guy is, as you might hear in the interview, I may have embarrassed him at the start by calling him. I wouldn't say I was in awe, but it was just really nice to finally get the opportunity to talk to him, and you know, just it's really, it was really nice interview. He was at Goodwood this week, the Castletown Roach native, and I got to chat to him about a few different things, including about why North Cork seems to be such a hotbed of drifting. But yeah, it was really, really nice to speak to Cork's very own James Deane this week.
Right, so I'm delighted to be joined on the line by, can I say drifting royalty, James Deane. James, look, it's brilliant to have you on the show. You're in Goodwood at the moment, am I right in saying?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on it. And yeah, we're at Goodwood at the moment. It's Speed Week this week in the UK, which is an event basically congregating so many motorsport legendary cars from all over, all years, F1, Group B rally cars. We're here with our drift cars doing a drifting show, and yeah, it's brilliant to be a part of it. So it's going on ITV, a lot of live streams on the internet, and there's just basically a lot of media here, close to public, but it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, like all these events, because as you say, it's going to be on ITV, so probably you're going to have more eyes on you than you ever would, but when you're there, it's going to feel like you're, you know, performing to an empty crowd. Is it a bit strange? I know when it comes to just racing, it's a little bit easier. You get your head down, you look at the cars in front of you. When it comes to drifting, the spectacle of it is almost as important, and you probably miss that kind of feedback from the crowd, do you?
Oh, definitely. One of the biggest things about drifting is definitely putting on a show for the crowd. But when you know that there's so many people watching online, you still get the same buzz because you know you're performing in front of an audience, and it's definitely different. But it's great to be honest, behind the wheel of the cars again, and just be putting on a good show and having fun with, you know, some friends that we haven't seen in quite a while.
Absolutely. And look, I was looking at Matt Griffin's Instagram there. Just some of the machinery there is unbelievable. Is it nice as well with the ITV thing? Like, you know, I was going to ask you this question, just a little bit about kind of the general perception of drifting, and that people might have a kind of a more of a negative perception about it, people that don't know more about the sport. So I suppose it's good to get eyes on it and for people to see the amount of skill that's required to become, you know, at the level that you're performing at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the great things about doing Goodwood, and I've been doing the Festival of Speed for the last 5 or 6 years, it's really introducing the sport to a new audience, often an older audience as well. And to be honest, the reception every time is getting better and better. There's more people getting to view it. There's more people respect, you know, the skill it takes to do what we do, showing these cars with 800 horsepower around the place. I think in really good proximity to the, you know, the cars that we're drifting with, or the obstacles on track. So I think it's definitely an exciting one when people actually get their eyes on it and understand what we're actually doing out there. So yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. As you can hear, there's a lot of loud cars around me, but it's great. There's a great smell of race fuel in the air, all different blends. It's great over here, to be honest. Yeah,
how much for, you know, like a petrol head like yourself, and we'll talk about it in a bit, some of your YouTube videos, because I think for people that are into their cars and into the tuning of cars, your stuff is so invaluable. How interesting is it for you? This is almost like a little recce mission, isn't it? Because you're seeing so many other cars, how so many other things work. So normally when you're at a drift event, it's all kind of the one thing, but now you're kind of are you able to kind of swap tips with some of the other mechanics and get an idea of how they're getting the max out of the equipment that they have?
Yeah, so probably one of the most enjoyable things I've experienced so far here is that, to be honest, it's awful to you know, to have it as a closed event. But for me personally, and for the other drivers and teams, everyone gets to walk around all their different race cars. Like, you can literally pull yourself under an old, you know, F1 car and see exactly how it's put together. You can get up and close to everything. And earlier on there was a line of Group B rally cars in the gridding area, and you can go up and touch the cars, you can walk around them, you can look at them, you can take pictures with them. It's a real pleasure as you know, a petrol head or motorsport head to just get up and close to so many amazing cars from all different disciplines. So it's definitely one of a kind like that.
I suppose it's a bit of a strange year generally, because I know we'll talk about the European Drift Championship round, but other than that, as you say, there hasn't been a huge amount of action, and obviously with the restrictions that are look to be coming into place in Ireland, it's going to be even less so. But there are some nice kind of opportunities that you haven't, you kind of got to do this year, like back at the 24 hours at the Nordschleife. There were obviously some spectators there. You were part of the Falcon Drift team this year, so I suppose kind of a nice to do stuff like that. I know obviously the competitive stuff is really where the heart lies, but all the same, to be able to perform at major events like that, and with so much emphasis put and spectators put on the motorsport side of things, because it's one of the few sports that can kind of reasonably safely go ahead even when conditions are difficult. It must have been a lot of fun.
Oh, for sure. Like this year, it has been a roller coaster. Every week things are changing. A lot of events cancelled, and you just have to take it one step at a time. But we have been quite lucky this year to get a good mix of a lot of different things. And we started the year off in Oman with the Oman International Drift Championship. We managed to win that in the Middle East, and that was right before coronavirus kind of came into the mix. But we also competed in the first round of the Drift Masters European Championship in Riga, managed to take the win there. And then obviously having these events, it's just every time at the moment you can get near the steering wheel, you have to take the opportunity and enjoy the experience, because we just don't know what's happening next. But you have to stay positive and just realize that this is only for now. It's not going to be here forever, and you just have to look forward to things returning back to normal again, and hopefully the near future. So it's a pleasure to be here, to be honest. Like, I'm in my element right now, just enjoying it and taking it for what it is.
It's great as well to see, like, we talk about Irish motorsport and how niche it is, and very seldom would we have drivers that would really reach the pinnacle. I know Charlie Eastwood even this year in the Le Mans 24. For the I drove the other day, had the pleasure of driving the road between Tralee over to Waterford to get back here for work. Not that I realised that I was actually passing the villages of two of the three podium finishers in the latest drift matches in Riga. It's mad. Yeah. Like, between yourselves and the Shanahans, you finished obviously first in Riga, they finished third. You're in Castle Roach there in Killavullen, a little bit further west. There must be 10-15 minutes between you?
Oh, the Shanahans are literally 1.5 kilometres from my house. So, like, when they start their engines late at night and it's a nice quiet night, you can literally hear them from my house.
Does that put pressure on then for you to get the equipment out? Like, is there a bit of a looking over the fence kind of part of it?
No, to be honest, we get on very well. Like, I've been hanging out with Jack and Connor for years, and seeing them grow up and develop into the drivers that they are today is unbelievable. And I have huge respect for them, and it works both ways. We always help each other out, and it's crazy to think though. They're just literally a stone throw away.
You might hear them fire up their engines, but the whole world seems to be, well, maybe not the whole world, but certainly a hell of a lot of YouTube subscribers are watching when you're firing up yours. It's brilliant. Often we talk about that, on the Formula 1 we had the Drive to Survive, for example, the documentary and stuff like that, but it's so great to kind of get behind the scenes, and you're so active on YouTube. Is that something that you kind of had to work hard to do, or was it something that you just really naturally enjoyed doing, the kind of filming part of it?
But to be honest, it's something that I kind of wanted to do for a while, and I never really took it on, properly before this year. But as this year kind of, when we started going to lockdown back in March, I had a lot more free time on hand. So I said, this is a good opportunity to just pick up a camera and try to walk people through what I'm doing during the week. So, like, every week from March to now, we made a video. I got used to editing videos and doing it all, so it's definitely a new experience, but the reception has been really nice, and I think people enjoy just seeing what we get up to every week, and more often than not, there's something happening with a race car, or working on them, or talking about them, seeing others, going to events, so it's really nice to bring people along for the ride and really just try to show it for what it is. If we're struggling, we're struggling. If we're winning, we're winning. I'm just trying to be as normal as possible, and I think the people have enjoyed that.
And even if it isn't about race cars, you're talking about, like, tell us a little bit about the new heater that you've installed in the garage, because I think a lot of fellas will get a kick out of this.
The which, sorry?
The new heater that you've installed in your garage. It's a bit of a hybrid job going on there.
Yeah. So my dad used to build rally cars and rally himself back in his day, and basically, even though he has the whole house is running off his own heating system, hot water for the radiators, hot water for the house, and off the same system, it's plumbed into my garage, and it's going through a Toyota Yaris radiator with a big industrial fan behind it, and it literally, if it's freezing outside, it'll bring the garage up to 18 degrees. It's a sweet job, and he has it working perfectly. It's all on a switch in the wall, working off a stat, and he just loves projects like that.
Yeah.
He has my other brother's workshop, Deane, running off a different heating system then as well. So
Right.
he's good at thinking outside the box. That's for sure.
I love the idea of that. You know, one of the obviously is yourself, like one of the more successful drift drivers, grinding to a halt because of fault in a Toyota Yaris heater. You know, like I just, I suppose, James. Yeah, like are you conscious of the fact when you go out and you race internationally, and I suppose even more this year because you've spent so much time at home, normally you'd be all around the world. First of all, first part of the question is, how much have you enjoyed kind of being home and getting back to basics? I talked to Craig Breen a few weeks ago, so he said he'd never spent so much time back home and that he really, really enjoyed it. It was kind of a chance to reset. And second of all, I suppose, does it make you more conscious now when you go back out that the area that you're representing and the people that you're representing up there in Castletown Roach, because you've spent so much time home over the last couple of months?
Yeah, so to be honest, like the last 3 years have been absolutely insane. We were competing in Formula Drift in the US, in Drift Masters in Europe, and in Oman, in the Middle East, every year, 3 championships, and we managed to actually win all 3 championships, 3 in a row for the 3 years. So it was insane, but it really did start catching up on me. Like at the end of last year, I was exhausted, and I think I needed a bit of a break, but I definitely wasn't expecting this. So although the break was really nice at the very start, to be honest now, I'm ready to get back into some form of normality, and I'm really hoping and praying that 2021 will give us all the opportunity to go do and see what we love doing, and obviously it's probably going to be a new shape and normal, but just so we can get back to doing what we love. It has been though really, really good to like catch up on things. Like it's not all been bad, like starting the YouTube channel, getting that started, and now I feel quite comfortable doing that, know how to shoot and edit, and it's not as time consuming as taking it on in a year that's already hectic. So there's definitely been a lot of positives, but yeah, definitely I love racing, and I'm quite used to at this point traveling around, getting not much sleep, and just jumping from one country to another, and I love, representing my country and all the people that supported me from day one. So I really can't wait till we get back to competing in normal championships again.
Yeah, that is kind of the medium long term. Just give us an idea. Obviously, the YouTube is going to keep going. Is there anything else for you in the calendar coming up, or is it just a case now of just trying to get the head down and prepare? And I suppose on top of that, what does preparing look like for you in terms of over the next the next couple of months, knowing that you've competitions coming up? Like what needs to be done between now and then, do you think, to kind of get yourself where you want to be, that you're happy to kind of go back out competing at the highest level?
Yeah, so to be honest, right now after Speed Week, there probably isn't going to be many events for the rest of the season. So it does give us the opportunity to just plan and, pick up the phone, make phone calls, try to get a real good idea as to what's the best move to make next. Obviously next year is approaching quite quickly. We haven't been competing in Formula Drift in the US this year. It's basically going to be making a decision where we're going to compete, where's the best opportunities, and trying to probably pick one of them and just going for it. So planning is probably the biggest part of my next couple of months. But I'm really excited to see how it all starts taking shape, and yeah, I'm just excited to get back on track again.
And I suppose, do you, if you are looking at that planning side of things, are you going to have to pick a base somewhere, knowing that you might be stuck somewhere and that'll be the only place you'll be able to compete?
Yeah, that is definitely a big factor of the planning. So, for example, if we decide to compete in Formula Drift and there's still travel restrictions, I'm probably just better off focusing on staying in the US for the majority of next year. Or if it's the Drift Masters European Championship, same kind of deal, just focus on this. Because I really don't think we're going to be able to travel. I don't know. Look, you never know, but traveling and not having to quarantine is probably going to be an issue next year. And if you're doing more than one championship, then more often than not, you have drift events or competitions back to back on the weekend. So you definitely, we just have to play it by ear for now. But I think it's definitely better off just pick one and focus on that mainly. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, well, we'll be keeping an eager eye on progress, and it's great to be able to do that. You can get on James Deane's. I presume just you go onto YouTube and search your name, and you'll come up and find you that way.
James Deane will pop up on YouTube, and you can see all the videos there on my page. So we're sticking with video a week, so hopefully that can continue. To be honest, I've been really enjoying it. So. Yeah,
it's definitely coming across. James, thanks a million for joining us. Look, always great to get people like yourself in and have a chat to them. Best of luck for this weekend. I know you'll massively enjoy it. And look, fingers crossed that there will be something before the end of the season, if there's an invitation or exhibition or something, any opportunity to get to see you going sideways. So, James, thanks a million for joining us. And look, like I said, have a great weekend, and we'll chat to you soon.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Take care.
Yep.
Now, so great interview there with James Deane. I'm not sure how we can top that, but I'm really hoping that you can. Are we gonna ride on board with Rob King, who has had no practice? Would that be fair, Rob?
You think somehow that going on board with me is going to be in any way equivalent to
And I haven't said that. He's off. Go on. Oh, he's not.
Not quite. I've got this is very confusing. I've got an interview in my ear still going on, so I don't know why I can hear that. So I need to get that off my head. I'm trying to race and change gear, and I can't.
But you'd be well used to this, Rob, wouldn't you? With all the this must be exactly like instructing in Mondello.
I would make the world's worst woman. I can't do two things at once.
Oh my God! There he went and did it. He just dropped us back into the dark ages of the 80s. Well, there's this stream band. Sorry, everyone. I'll just go and take this off. But you were going to talk to us.
To use the new handbrake he's trying out.
Yeah.
So what is it, Rob, that you're going to talk to us about? Is the
I don't know. You tell me.
What have you got lined up for us?
So what Rob has lined up is Rob is going to plug a couple of different things. He's going to remind you, and indirectly I'm going to remind you of the competition that Mondello Park have going on at the moment. They are obviously the championship sponsors of the iDMC this current season, and they're giving away, I think, from what Rob told me 2 minutes ago, they're giving away two fantastic prizes, which is a drive in an M4 and an M8 competition, both of which I've driven, nearly binned the M8, M4, love it. So yeah, they're fantastic cars. All you have to do is head over to our website, and you'll find it pretty easy. I don't know, I might be able to pop a link into the chat there actually. And yeah, all you have to do is just pretty much sign up with your email, a couple of details, and that's it. The winner will be decided on the final round of this championship.
I thought we already agreed it was Kevin.
Sorry?
Silence.
just have to wake up to the fact that I don't have to buy myself or just get a Christmas present bought for me, which is great.
Yeah.
But how
The
do you
next
enter
thing
it?
that Rob
In
was gonna
fairness,
talk about,
go for it, Sean.
I'll just pretend to be Rob. I'm not going to do an English accent though, because I think that would piss a lot of people off, including Rob. So the next thing that we have going on is promotions, Rob, I think, wasn't it? We've got a good few promotions going on online. We've got 10% off most of or all of the next level racing equipment and bundles. So some of those are bundled up with some Fanatec wheel bases, wheels and pedals. So you'd want to have a big stocking, but they're pretty good stocking fillers for Christmas. And that was it. Rob, is there anything missing there in terms of promo stuff?
I don't think so. We're probably going to have some pretty decent Black Friday offers coming up. Yeah, watch this space. We were talking about them earlier on. But,
I can hear the concentration.
Yeah, I just need to get out of the way of whoever it is behind me.
I'm just going to say this, Rob. You're not doing... Well, I was going to say it until there. Did you slow down on purpose there?
Yeah, I did, yeah. I'm bad, but I'm not that bad. Just to call it out, I mean, like, we shouldn't be looking at me driving. It does illustrate to a point how quick these guys are going. Like, I kind of know my way around Spa, like, pretty well. And I'm, like, I don't know, what am I, 8 seconds off the pace? Which is, that's a huge amount.
Oh, well, it's a 2:11 time there by Keith Dempsey, but well, we won't distract you. We'll go on board with someone else.
Yeah, I'm going to go into the pits and turn the other audio off so I can actually hear you guys.
Tell us all about the promotions that you were trying to do. So you can't do two things at once.
Absolutely
that's what we've learned there. That's good consumer advice.
Niall, do we have footage or highlights from the last 2 races a fortnight ago?
I do. Do you want to have a look at that?
Excellent. Yeah, why not?
It was actually a pretty epic race, in fairness. Let's cut over to the review of round 3 and 4. So a lot of people are asking about this. Why is it round 3 and 4? We're basically we're counting the 2 races as 2 separate races, whereas before we used to call it a round, and you have the 2 races in there. I'm even confused saying it, guys. Right, but it's.
Same as the British Touring Car Championship.
There you go. Rob jumped in.
BCC does the exact same
stuff,
thing.
like. Sorry, now I can concentrate, lads. Sorry, I'm not.
So can you guys see my screen that I'm sharing out there now?
Yeah,
should be able to. So here we are. So this is the start of, and a big thanks to Brian McManus to help actually pull this video together. So if it isn't great, blame Brian. But of course, this was the first time we had Jack and Kevin on the stream together. How did that go, Kevin? And actually, we don't have Jack tonight.
It was going reasonably well for the first 10 minutes, and then I got a text off my roommate telling me to shut up. So that kind of half distracted me as I was trying to do the commentary. Yeah.
I didn't know Jack was your roommate. That's interesting.
Yeah. No. We sent him on the recce mission to Germany ahead of the upcoming the World Nation Series.
That must be pretty deflating, Kevin. Is it like when you're in the zone? You're 10 minutes in, you're excited about the race. Next spot, someone says, "Here, mate, shut up."
You know what it is? It kind of makes you. It's definitely the difference between real and virtual. Like I would never imagine sitting in the press box of Mondello and somebody saying, "Hey, keep it down." No, it was a look. I think we expected kind of carnage, and that's kind of what we got, to be fair. It just arrived slightly later than I was expecting. Like I was kind of expecting a massive melee going into T1, and that's we saw one off there. I still can't quite see who that was in the shot, how Montero, but it was actually pretty clean for the first part until the M8s and the M4s met. And then there was a couple of interesting maneuvers going on. But, like, to be honest, I actually watched back Lawrence de Souza's video on it, especially the race 2 where he got a podium, which was brilliant for him. Massive congratulations to him, because I know it meant the absolute world to himself. But, there was, like, even he finishing third. He was caught up in quite a few instances. And you see one here now as King goes wide, there was a contact there, which I actually missed because my own iRacing was struggling with the amount of cars that it was trying to deal with. But there was a lot of contact, and there was an incident quite late on that I think it was Keith Dempsey was caught up in. And Keith ended up finishing. He dropped from second or third down to fifth or sixth, and then Jordan came through and ended up doing well. So it was mad. It was kind of one of those like last gasp, late attempts going down into the chicane, and it ended up costing Keith quite dearly. And it was just full of incident. Like, it was really hard to keep up with everything that was going on, like that. Because you're trying to search for the 2 or 3 people that are caught up with it, and then you're also trying to see like how much damage is there anybody coming up behind, like how does that affect the standings. So it was a busy day for us. I'm kind of hoping Spa might be a little bit more relaxed, but it was kind of what we were expecting. So I think it was brilliant to do the commentary with Jack for the first time as well, and great as was said after the race. It was just fantastic to have an all Irish commentary team on it, to have an Irish championship commentated on by
Absolutely.
Irish commentators going out on the iSports the iRacing esports network. It's just a great advertisement for sim racing in our country. So it was very, very proud. I was very proud, obviously, to be part of the series generally, but particularly doing it with Jack was really, really awesome.
Yeah, and you guys got really, really, really good feedback from the community in general. But even when myself, Niall, and Rob were watching it live, we just couldn't get over how professional, how great it was. So you really did add that extra bit to the race. But I tell you what, we were busy boys that day. I don't want to mention the war, but yeah, it was a pretty intense race for Student, guys, wasn't it?
Yeah, we see.
There's so much going on.
Seen he's just seen earlier on there with Adrian Camfield as well. Like, there was so many incidents in this round. We what surprised me the most was I thought it was going to be incidents between the M4s and the M8s. I genuinely did, but when you look back over in a lot of the incidents we had, there were just genuine racing incidents, all of themselves, without too many mix-ups with the M4s. So.
Yeah, like it's a tight track. Like, it's a tight track, and they're quick cars. So I mean, when the M8s caught up with the M4s, it was always, like Kev said, gonna get a little bit difficult for both classes. But yeah, I think that's a fair point, Niall. It was more so that the drivers were just finding the tight a little bit track, and the track a little bit tight. And I mean, you saw what me and Rob were like when we were out on it before the actual race went ahead on the Monday night. Like, if you don't know this track inside out and you don't put the hours into it,
there's a great example there. Just on board a Barable, like, just how busy that is, and it's a short lap. It's a really short lap around. Of course, we picked this track. Actually, we picked all the tracks for this championship to try and line them up with either something that was going on in the real world, or something that was going on within iRacing. And the Petit Le Mans was going on at this time. So we thought a lot more the drivers would have been. Oh, that was so painful for Robert Moore. But we thought a lot more the drivers would have taken part in that event. And actually, it was interesting that they didn't, because they just wanted to focus on this race. And I was actually blown away by that, because I was kind of thinking it would have surely been the other way around, where people were more interested in the official iRacing event, but we're just so focused on this race. Nobody actually got out and raced. I think James Holman put in a shout to give it a go, but I love doing those events myself. Of course, I did win at Spa. I'm not sure if I've mentioned that before.
I don't think you've mentioned that before. Just worth mentioning, lads. The amount of time that the drivers are putting into these races is unreal, and people watching might not realise. So after this round here at Road Atlanta, the very next day, or even the same evening, a lot of the guys had servers set up for Spa already, which was in 2 weeks' time, and they have been on that every night of the week since that day. And the time started off at around 2:16s, and they're down to 2:11s now. So they've been chipping away, and they've been running race simulations, and teams have been there drafting and helping each other out and seeing how they can just get the edge over the competition. And it's awesome to see these kind of rivalries starting to kind of develop out, and we've got Keith Dempsey and the Turn 3 guys, and Peter Dempsey, Wayne Douglas, all these lads, Murray Motorsport team. We've got the VRA Racing guys, and it's all getting a bit kind of hot and heavy at the front end there. So it's great stuff. It's really exciting to see. And then, of course, you've got Josh Malin in the mix as well, who's just coming in and throwing a spanner in the works. So, yeah, interesting stuff.
It is. That brings us quite nicely onto what you guys are thinking for this week's race. Niall, could we pull up the standings as they stand at the moment?
No.
That's fine.
I'm trying.
Logging
But
on.
what I can do is I can pull up the current times that we're seeing out in the practice at the moment to see who's going quick, and then I'll work diligently here in the background to try and get the actual.
I'll give you more of a heads up next time.
I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. I might just take a screen grab here. But there's the times that we have. So for those, again, for people who don't know, we always run an official kind of a free practice on a Monday night. People get to go out and test out the setups and all that for the first time. But that's the times we have. So looking at it, Keith Dempsey, no surprises at the top, I guess.
No, just explain that just a little bit. So the guys have been running their own setups all week long, right, over the last 2 weeks, right? But today is the first time that the official Digital Motorsports setup is released. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So even though they were out for the last 2 weeks, they wouldn't know things like what the track temperature is going to be, what the weather settings we were going to use, or what car setups we were going to use. So look
at what's in it between Josh Malin and Keith Dempsey. Like, that is savage.
Look at the times between Wayne Douglas and Jordan, the best laps.
Yeah.
Jesus, yeah.
And Brian McManus. So, the point of this is that we try and bring as much of a real kind of motorsport meeting to this as we can, obviously within the digital context. So to answer the question, yeah, it's the first time these drivers are out on this setup. We tend to not change things drastically. We used to do that in the past to kind of shake things up a little bit, but this setup won't be very different from Road Atlanta. It won't be very different from what we had at Le Mans for the M8s. But the reason we test on a Monday night as well, obviously, Rob, is to figure out how much fuel they're going to need for the full race distance. Same with the M4s as well. So, yeah, if you look at it, like the top 10, what are they split out by? Less than a second?
Yeah, less than a second, yeah. Let me see. Robert Moore. It's, less than a second. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's kind of been consistently that way every round, pretty much. It's been like top 10, second between top 10. And obviously because of a shorter lap in Road Atlanta, it was 0.5, it was a half a second between top 10. Last time, which makes sense because it's around about kind of the proportion of the lap. It's not so close all these guys are. And what was really cool was to see how close the M4s were as well, and to see a couple of surprise names like the Lawrence de Suzwas, who were kind of it just goes to show you that there are opportunities there. Poor Michael McGuinness got taken out by an M8 again. So I think he's due a bit of luck this week. I'd like to see him do well, definitely around Spa. But yeah, it's be interesting to see how Keith responds to this. Now, he's obviously fastest in practice, but kind of threw it away a little bit, as I said, into the chicane that time in that incident. So be interesting to see kind of like his starting to slip away slightly. We've what, 4 races left in this series, so four venues left in this series. So Keith is one to he probably be feeling a little bit under pressure.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's going to show in the racing. Sorry, Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, it is great to see because he really has kind of had it all his own way in the Digital Motorsports Championships up until this point, and now you've got people kind of really rising to the challenge. You've got the Jordan Kellys of this world and Josh Malins and so on. But the question I wanted to ask you guys is, how much do you think not team orders, just teammates are going to come into play here in the next round of Spa? With it being a long circuit, lots of straights, are we going to see drafting between teams, and how's that going to affect them, or how are they going to use that to their advantage?
Team orders, even.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah,
What
I mean,
do you reckon?
look, the Kemmel Straight's a great spot for it, probably the one of the best we have in this current championship. So yeah, I hadn't actually thought about that before, but it is a really really good point. And like you said earlier on, some of the teams are really starting to put a lot of work in together collectively. So yeah, I mean, it could be a case that they've had some servers on the go internally without posting them into Discord and letting other people join. Might have a few tricks up their sleeve. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to see that. I think it would make it even more interesting than it already is. So yeah, fingers crossed. Just quickly, not to move on from your point, but Damien McMullen, Niall, is asking if you could show the times for the M4s as well as the M8s.
I will, of course. I'm just trying to do the most hack together. So there you should see on screen now is the Pro. We'll get to that in a second, the Pro-Ams. So it's currently Jordan Kelly, 125 points ahead of Josh Mallon on 120, and Keith Dempsey. Just to come back to the Keith Dempsey conversation there, I know we're saying he's, or what the comment was made, he's had a lot of his own way. Personally, I don't think he has. I think he's won some championships comfortably at the end, but I think he's always been pushed by somebody, or there's been somebody who's put up a good challenge, or a number of drivers. And while this is definitely the strongest grid we've put out with the iDMC, hopefully there's a couple of people out there who haven't been able to race with us. It might come back for the next one. But I don't know. I think Keith's a racer. He'll love this challenge. He'll see that there's 40 points between himself and Jordan. He'll definitely not want to see Nicky or James Holman close up that gap any closer. Niall Murray's going well, and then you've got the VRA guys. Jordan Kelly's out at the top, which is great. You've David Yamamoto and Brian P for Pro, McManus, and the rest of the VRA guys. I think it's going to be huge. I think the team orders, to answer your question, Rob, are going to be. I don't think there'll be anything underhanded or anything, but people will definitely use, the tow down the straights. It's lone qualifying, so they won't be able to do that to kind of line up a couple of cars to get a tow. But definitely during the race, these guys have their own team servers, and they can definitely call whatever they need. We'll be watching that from the stewarding point of view to make sure there's nothing like, blocking going on or somebody trying to take advantage of stuff. But being in a team and having those team orders is definitely going to be an advantage around Span. That's one of the things I think we're going to watch out for.
Yeah, McManus is just saying in the chat there that there's lots of drafting going on this evening, but they haven't actually got any team orders yet amongst the VRA team. But we'll see. Watch this space, I think.
And someone else is cheering on Jordan Dempsey. Best of luck, Jordan Dempsey.
Yeah, best of luck, Jordan.
Sorry, Jordan.
I'm not sure who Ronan Doherty is. You guys might know him, but he seems to be just stating facts and telling Peter that Keith is faster than him. So I suppose we'll see on Wednesday what the crack is. But yeah, it's good to see people tuning in and leaving us some comments. Actually, just on that, I know we're touching a little bit, we're coming up to time, but I think Rob, you wanted to run through a couple of those questions there that were actually in the comments section.
Oh yeah, what were they? Let me just scroll back up. Who was asking some questions? So Damien McMullen was actually asking earlier on. This is a you question, Niall. If you had your choice of the new graphics cards, which would you pick?
Oh, the 3080 all day long. I have to see what price the 3070 comes out at. But if it was me, I'd save up all my money. I think the 3090 is just crazy money, yeah, for what it is. If you can afford it, hats off to you. But do you know what? I really feel for anyone who's gone out and bought a 2080 or a 2080 Ti. Like that's €1,000 plus card, and the 3070 is gonna blow it away. The 3080, is twice as much power as it. So. It's a great time.
We've still got some left in stock, Niall. Only messing.
Oh, do we?
No.
I thought I was like, back up the digger. But it's a great time if you are. Okay, this sounds like but it is a great time to be investing in a PC that's going to last you 2-3 years. Certainly, anyone who's out there with a GTX 1070 graphics card, if they got that at the time it was released, they've got so much mileage out of that graphics card. That has to be the the workhorse of the whole thing. And it's just it always happens in this evolution. I think the like the games and the simulators and the simcades and iRacing, it's been very hard to get a PC that can max them out. Everyone's saying, what type of frame rates you getting or what type of screens, and now all of a sudden the hardware's overtaken the software in a way. So you've got these new we got those new 49s coming in, Sean, with 244 refresh rate. You've got the new graphics cards coming in. You've got the new CPUs. Everyone's going to be on 5G hopefully soon enough. So you can see the technology's now kind of the bit that's got all the power behind it. And it's going to be cool to see what's the next software comes along that's going to push that hardware to its limits. So it's an absolutely really cool time to be getting into sim racing. And when at the start of the interview, and I won't harp on about this, when Kevin was asking about Formula 1 2020, what do I think about it? It's like, for anyone who's out there and they've played Grand Prix, the old Jeff, or Grand Prix 2 or any of those games, and you go back and you have a look at them now, there's been one or two times I've been flicking through in the internet and I've seen a sim race and I've had to look twice. Genuine.
Yeah.
I had to stop
absolutely.
myself
I'd agree with that.
and look at it. And when you think of the level of broadcasting, we're a bunch of amateurs on tonight, or
Apart from Kevin.
Apart from Kevin, sorry, Mr. Kevin.
only just got an IMRO nomination. Don't worry about it.
But what I mean is in the sense of Jesus, I'm just digging here.
What's Kevin do? I don't know.
No, but from the sense of
how do you get access to a studio?
I'm just thinking about that. I'm kind of like, yeah, we're all getting paid to do this, but
very much an amateur driver, by the way.
But for an amateur series, well, then I'm even digging a hole here. It's like a pro series. But I guess what I'm saying is, there's times when I've seen sim racing where I have to look twice at it, and it's like it's up there. And people are going to frown at this, but I think it's up there with any of the F1 stuff I've seen in the past at times. Definitely, as you were calling it, the V8 Supercar series that they ran down under was second to none in terms of production and quality, and it's epic to see this level of graphics and streaming and all this content coming together from what I meant to say was from people who are just sitting at home.
I think that's one of the things I really enjoyed. And to be fair, I probably shouldn't give him a shout out because obviously we're very proud of Apex Racing and what we do. But one of my first broadcasts I ever watched was the Race Spot TV broadcast of the Nuremberg 24 hours, and I was blown away by the production on that. And as somebody who's a professional broadcaster, seeing how that is translated into like real-time directors, like the V8 Supercar is a great example of that. They use real directors, they use real producers, they have the proper graphics. Like, it just goes to show you that when you give the sim world the level of kind of effort and the resources that you give to real life racing, as you say, sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. And it just, it shows you not only how much what were the platforms that we use stand up in terms of graphically, but also in terms of the racing in them and the physics in them and everything else, because it's all very well and good a sim looking nice. But what you need really is especially when you're watching a race live, is you want that sense of the actual competitiveness in it. And definitely I think that's one of the things that iRacing has over a lot of other sims, is because of that online, the what's the word I'm looking for, the fortitude of their servers and the durability of them means that you can have some really, really excellent racing in the way that we've seen in those Petit Le Mans, or we've seen in Le Mans 24 Hours, or even we've seen in the Irish Digital-Motorsports series, that you're not having a case for R Factor 2 where they're having to reset the servers every 4 hours because they keep crashing. We have the talent, the racing talent, we have the platform, and we have now the production and the broadcast quality of what really is any kind of other series. So I think a massive hats off to you guys at Irish Digital Motorsports, not only for the rigs that you provide and the equipment that you give people, but also I always say, you guys are here before all of this stuff ever happened, before it took off in a massive way, and it seems like this latest BMW M4 and M8 series is kind of the next step in the evolution of what's a really exciting journey for Irish digital motorsport, but also kind of just sim racing in general.
I'm going to take a big step back and say that's the way a professional does it, so I'm the amateur in this. Yeah, that's...
Niall's still cringing there.
I'm like, okay, I just got handed a... but the thing that I wanted to call out was, and I know, Kevin, your belly is a rumbling there. You were saying you need to head off for some food, but
Doesn't sound like it. I managed to hide it fairly well.
the thing that actually struck me, I hadn't thought about this until your interview with James Deane, where he was saying, it's on ITV, people are watching, but there's nobody there at the actual event, or there's a very small crowd. But he was saying the pressure is still very much the same to perform, and it only struck me actually. I was watching that interview. I said, that's in essence what sim racing is. You're sitting at home, you're on your own, there's nobody around actually physically there watching what you're doing, but the cameras are on, the pressure's on to perform live on the stream, and I think that's the bit of this sport that a lot of people who may not have had the chance to race at the level that these guys are racing at the moment. It's one thing to put in a 211.218, do it for 45 minutes solidly with a whole lot of other cars around you on the track, and the commentary, and the don't muck it up on live on the stream, and everything else that goes with it. Very much, and especially at Road Atlanta, a lot of drivers get that feedback. They felt real pressure out there, and they felt real stress, and that's the bit that I think is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel it every time I go on and crash into a wall. I think Rob feels the same thing as well. Do you, Rob?
Yep, although I'm approaching expert level now because I've got my iRacing D license, so I feel fully qualified to talk with authority about all things iRacing.
Nice.
One more question from Ronan Doherty. He was just asking there in the comment section about our is there any amateur series? We do have the Mudslinger series at the moment, which is our amateur league, free to enter, open to everyone, no license restrictions or anything like that. It's on alternate weeks between the iDMC, the BMW M8 and M4 Championship. So yeah, go and jump into that. If off-road racing isn't your thing, there will be another amateur series coming up pretty soon. And it's as we were talking about all these kind of pro drivers and putting in all this time and all that kind of stuff. There's definitely something out there for people like myself and yourself, Sean, who just don't have that time. We're not at that level, and probably never will be. And we just want to race and have a bit of fun. So yeah, there is stuff coming up for people like us, mere mortals.
Just before we pick the competition winner, well, before Niall does, do we want to have a very, very quick discussion about the upcoming round? Predictions, thoughts, everything.
I'll let Kevin go first.
Well, I kind of briefly mentioned it a while ago, trying to fast forward the whole thing sometime for a bit of dinner. No, I'm only joking. I kind of briefly mentioned, okay, I'd like to see Michael McGuinness in the M4s do well. He's had a bit of bad luck. I think he pushed Alex Denning really hard in the first race, and he was up and around there in the second race as well before he was completely taken out by an M8 that just lost it going through the final turn. So I'd really like to see him do well in the M4s. And like I say, in the M8s, I think really the man to watch for a different reason than what we normally would is Keith Dempsey. Like, it's just really interesting to see how he reacts to this kind of setback, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Niall Murray as well. Niall won the second race. That was his first race win in an IDM race in over a year, and obviously Niall is a long time around here, owner of the Ireland's, as Rob said earlier, Ireland's second best sim gear provider now.
That was me.
Sorry. But yes, it's be really interested to see if he can carry that momentum through into the second race, through into this second endurance race, as I meant to say. And yeah, I think these guys now are kind of getting used to each other. We've gotten over the opening 2 rounds, over the carnage that is Road Atlanta. I think people have gotten all of their anger out of their system, hopefully, on the in-race chat after those 2 races. So I'm hoping that it'll be a little bit more strategic, this one, a little bit less chaotic, and it's very hard to say, like who would have predicted Lawrence, no offense to Lawrence at all, but for his first podium, which is a fantastic achievement. I don't think anybody here predicted that. Keith finishing outside the top 3, Jordan, I think, finishing low as well, Niall winning his first one, who could have predicted that? So it is very close, as you say, a second between the top 10. So I am going to very much sit in the fence on this one. I'm exercising my one card to sit in the fence this week, and I'll be back to giving predictions next week. But I'm really looking forward to that strategic battle, and as you say, those team orders could come into it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do the same as well, because I made an absolute balls of it the last time on my podium prediction. So, but yeah, look, it's going to be really, really interesting. I'm actually dying for this week's race, I must say. Really looking forward to it. It's a nice break in between the hard work that we're doing Monday to Friday. Don't do any hard work Saturday, Sunday. So look, I think we're going to try finish things up pretty quickly.
I didn't get my
Niall,
prediction.
Yeah, sorry.
Rob?
Go on, give us your prediction, Niall.
I'm going to go all out, right? And I have, I'm going to say, well, it's obviously going to be Jordan, Keith Dempsey, Josh Mallon, Peter Dempsey, all these guys front. I think it's going to come down to an endurance expert, and I'm going to put my money on someone like James Holman here. I think he's, I'm going to go, I'm going to think someone who can just consistently hammer out that lap time. He was very, very quick. I think Nicky Meredith and Brian McManus, if they can give enough track to each other, they could do it as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of pushing larger Bargy up the front, but I think there's going to be a surprise in this one. But it's the M4s I'm really most interested in. I can't pick anyone at the M4s. Be like, McGovern, Denning, but I'm going to go with, I think Lawrence is going to do well in this, and I think Chris McCann's going to do well in this as well. So we'll see.
Nice. Okay, I was putting my box there. So, Rob, your predictions?
I don't know. Obviously, I don't know. But Jordan Kelly has shown his skill at Le Mans and consistency out the front. And this is a similar type of track to Le Mans. So he's proven he can be consistent. Josh Malin is lightning quick. He didn't quite have the legs to keep up with Jordan. Wayne Douglas has been doing extremely well in practice throughout the week. So I'm going to predict that Keith and Peter Dempsey are going to take each other out, and we're going to see a Wayne Douglas, Josh Malin, and Jordan Kelly top 3 in Pro.
Wow.
If that comes true, Rob, I will buy you a 3-in-1.
I will eat it.
Double wow. Right, there we go. How do I pick a winner for this? What's the criteria?
So you just have to double check that whoever has left a comment in the comment section is subscribed already to our YouTube channel, which I'd assume they are. It's going to be pretty hard because most people that have commented are people we know. So I'm putting this one on you, Niall, and saying best of luck.
Oh my God! Right, I don't need, like, no one can see what I'm doing here. So, can you guys see my screen? I'm just gonna go kind of like
just waving your finger about in the air.
Yeah. I'm just like
poke it down and see who it lands on.
Can we not do something right?
Raunchy.
I can't even do something live here to show. Can I just pick someone I like?
Yeah, you can pick someone you like, someone you don't like. Whatever you want,
best
man.
Comment? The funniest comment?
The best comment or the funniest comment, I think is a good shout, actually, Kev, yeah.
I feel like somebody's going to be in debt now of a brand new
handbrake,
and I'm going to get.
Do you know what? I'm gonna go with the fairest thing, right? And it's the only way I can think about this. Who was the first person to comment?
Me. Ronan. No, it was Damien McMullen.
Damien McMullen, right. If Damien McMullen was the first person to comment, I'll just go. That's the fairest thing, isn't it? We
I
can't do
think
that
so,
every,
yeah.
we can't do that every week, but we'll come up with a better way of doing it. There
That's me.
you go. Damien McMullen has won what? A handbrake for being the first person to comment.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Damien.
Please don't
Damien's
press
just
ombudsman.
Damien's just in my ear. He's saying he wants to donate it to charity. Thanks very much, Damien. What? No, am I joking? I just want to see if you.
That's very good, Deane.
Right, there we go.
Okay.
We're over
Congrats,
time.
Damien.
These are always great, Craig. We have to do this again. Keep doing these. Thanks as ever to the professional. Oh my God.
You're
Kev,
supposed to
you're
call
on
you
my name.
Colin. Thanks,
Yeah, yeah.
thanks to the unprofessional Colin. Take care, guys.
Galvin, Colin Gallagher and Jordan Dempsey.
I think I called Jordan Dempsey, didn't I? I always do. I might have
No,
called
I
Keith,
called-
Keith
That
Kelly.
was Rob earlier on.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, we'll be back in again off the grid in 2 weeks. Sebastian Vettel is our special guest. Until then, Kevin, if you want to continue with your signature sign off, be much appreciated.
Oh God, I feel like I'm being rolled out. I feel like it's the it's the
It's the new thing.
Yeah. Hey, see the line, Bart. Right. So yeah, I suppose look, we until Wednesday, it's long a full.
All right, cheers, lads.